All right, today we're going to get into 5 mistakes that you see the most when it comes to physician-related marketing or just, any marketing in general when it comes to PTs, service providers, going into offices and trying to start generating some business, some referrals for themselves. All right, so let's start at the top here. We're going to go through all 5. We're going to take them one by one. But the top, I guess these won't be in any specific order, but we're just going to go through 5 here that are all relevant, could be pertain to you, depending on where you're at in your marketing journey. But these are the 5 that we see kind of the most, maybe beginners or novices, or even just we forget from time to time. We make these mistakes. So we want to take them from the top and kind of give you a better picture of what to avoid, and then secondly, how to remedy it. All right. So Savannah, let's start with number 1 here. Waiting until you're confident to start. When do you see this the most? How do you kind of get over it? Why is it an issue? And take it from there.
I think we all struggle with this because you always want to be confident in everything you do. And when you are treating patients, you're already kind of confident in your skill set because you've gone to school for it. So kind of pulling from our last talk. But I just want to remind everybody that there's never going to be a time when you're perfect. There's never a perfect time to start. You just start, just like anything in life. So waiting until you're confident to start it's kind of the recipe for disaster because you're never going to be confident. And so every time you're going to create this kind of idea that like, oh, next time I'm going to be ready. But confidence comes after you act. So after you've already had several good interactions under your belt, that's what's going to make you feel confident versus just waiting for that moment where you're maybe feeling your best or feeling your most confident. You build that confidence from the repeated effort. PTs, I think we all want to just think like, oh, I'm going to wait until my materials are ready. I'm going to wait until I really have everything set because we're organized people. We're type A kinds of people. And ideally, that's never going to be the right time. The right time is when you just kind of got started with PTTU, you're ready to hit the ground running, and you have the most amount of, you're really going to have the most amount of confidence you're ever going to have because you already took the step into being your own business owner and developing your own practice. So a delay is just really a delayed opportunity in being able to see patients. A delay is just a delay in being able to build those relationships. And the sooner you start, the better opportunity you have because you immediately hit the ground running. So again, confidence comes after you've already acted.
And we're all going to make mistakes. And the best way and the quickest way to get past those mistakes is by taking action and doing it. You don't know, you think you're going to prep, have the perfect sentence ready to go, then you get in there and then someone says something completely different than anything you expected. And that's where getting the reps out of the way and not waiting until you think you got everything figured out is the best method to kind of get started and rip the Band-Aid off so you can start getting your reps in, live reps. And that's the biggest difference too. I mean, we hammer, scripting and role playing and doing all that, but nothing beats live reps.
Absolutely. You're going to be throwing the curveballs in live reps. Although we can try to throw you those curveballs, you're kind of comfortable in our communication style already. You're not going to be comfortable with the person you're talking to. So it's just like a muscle. You're going to build it with repetitions over time. And to kind of fix that feeling of not being confident to start, you just got to go for it. So it's like, just take the step, practice on the people that are the closest to you, and then go and take that into an opportunity to just go for it.
Right. All right. Number 2, thinking you need to be a salesperson to, make it, to be able to drive business to yourself. As a specialist, as a physical therapist, we are not trained in school on sales, marketing, how to talk about our services. So to the physical therapist or occupational therapist, speech therapist, any healthcare professional says, hey, Savannah, I wasn't trained on how to do this properly. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. I think that's slimy, or, I just want people to come to me. I want my patients just to find out about me.
Yep.
What do we say to that? And then secondly, how do we frame it?
Yep. So like that icky feeling, that's already, that's your mindset. That is you're putting that idea around marketing in and of itself. So first off, marketing is relationship building. It is not transactions. You're not selling, your provider. So always shift that mindset. You're not selling, you are providing, you are a provider. So marketing is just clearly explaining who you are, who you're here to help, and why it's easy to work with you. So those three things are kind of like your, let's just say, your pillars, right? You're here to explain who you are, what kind of services you're providing for patients, or what types of patients you tend to see, and how easy it is to send a patient. So when you are able to build each conversation or each initial interaction with somebody based off of that, you're going to feel less like a salesperson. You're going to feel more like you're sharing your gift, what you're doing with that provider and that with that office. And every time you go in there, they're seeing so many people that do similar things, whether it's home health, whether they're a drug sales rep. I mean, they're seeing reps and reps and reps and tons of people, but they're not meeting providers. So again, like, you step into that mindset that you earned the right to do what you do, just like they earn the right to do what they do. And you're not like a slick sales rep. You're not trying to pull anything over on anyone. You're trying to help their patients. So just go in there with that frame of mind, exactly as you would go into your patient already, that's not what you're doing. You are doing you're serving a greater good, and you're really trying to help them establish a relationship with somebody that they can trust. And so trust what you're doing when you show up there. You're offering help, but like, you're offering it to people that need it. So you are filling a gap, you're filling a need, or a niche really, within their practice.
I also like to say this too, is, we think by trying to get referrals sent to us that we're the only ones gaining. And when actually, I tell some people, you are helping that doctor grow their practice. And say, hey, what do you mean by that? Saying the doctor's reputation is tied up around who he is sending or she is sending their patients to. If they're primary care and then he or she is referring those patients to you and they like that experience, they are more likely to tell their friends about, one, their doctor, so his practice can grow, and then secondly, more patients will come to you as well. So you are not doing this for yourself. You are helping the doctor by being a good referral source for them to send their network to. And you are helping them grow their practice. And I think that gets lost in it, because when we're new, we're thinking, oh, I need this. And that's the wrong mindset to have. You're like, I'm going to help you grow your practice, physician, et cetera, by being the trusted provider that your patients are going to love and then obviously get better from.
There's nothing better than good feedback to a doctor. It makes them look good. When they pick someone that does a bad job, that makes them look bad too. And think of all the patients, every office has a horror story with it where they've sent their patient to, like, oh my goodness, I couldn't even believe that they didn't show up for this patient, or whatever the case is. So as soon as you show up and provide that energy of being trustworthy, and they can trust you, then immediately that's going to make them look better. And that's the best sales technique that doctor could even have, is referring to the right people and having the right network.
Yeah, great. All right, number 3, over-explaining the model, over-explaining your services. Word vomit could also be thrown in there. But 1, why is it a problem? 2, how do we tackle it? And, I guess break it down for individuals to really understand what you are relaying to the doctor, the provider.
Yeah. Don't get lost in the sauce. Keep it concise and simple and digestible. People are, because you're so used to explaining things to people that may not understand it. Like, the doctor's office get it. They know what outpatient therapy is. They know what home health is. Yes, we're providing something that is unique, so it requires a level of education to the provider, but it doesn't mean that you need to reinvent the wheel and explain everything like they've never heard about outpatient therapy or home health. You pick your buzzwords, you pick what you want to explain to them as a core reasoning, and then if they ask more questions, you can delve into those questions, but always stick to what they originally asked instead of like over explaining, because it just gets to a point where they're not going to remember what you said, and they might stick to 1 or 2 things that maybe even weren't your most they weren't your pinpoints. That wasn't really what you were trying to get down to them. So just as always, keep things as simple as possible. Just like when you explain an exercise to a patient, when you explain
Yeah.
this service to a doctor, keep it as concise as possible.
Yeah, and even going in there and speaking with the office, talking less about the services, like those shouldn't be the first words coming out of your mouth. You get the introduction to the doctor, then you can have a conversation from healthcare professional to healthcare professional about the ins and outs of your service. But we're a big proponent of going in there and saying, hey, I'm your local next door neighbor PT. I make house calls, and you don't have to get into, oh, we do mobile Medicare Part B, we're outpatient, we're kind of like home health, but we're not home health. Patients do or do not have to be homebound. That's not what you want coming out of your mouth. You just want to become relatable. You want to tell them you live around the corner, you're the local person, and then maybe you do house calls, and just leave it very simple. And then that opportunity parlays into maybe the second conversation when you can sit down with someone or just get face to face about, okay, what do you do? That's your opportunity to then open up the floodgates and then tell them about the actual services, the ins and outs, maybe, but not right when you go in there. Don't just put it all on the table about every little detail.
Right, right. And it's really easy to get bogged down by those things and to really think, oh, well, I didn't get too much accomplished in this visit. I don't know if they know. No, they know. They know because you kept it simple and concise and you didn't try to over explain it. As soon as you over explain it, you lose them. And those questions will organically come up because if you give them the time to sit and think instead of just keeping talking at them, if they have the time to sit and think, they might think, oh, well, so can you see, if you can see a low back pain patient, can you see a balance patient? Or they might be thinking, oh, well, can you see non-homebound patients? Oh,
Yeah.
that's great, So give them the time to think about and digest what you're saying instead of just talking at them. So talk, of course, converse with them. Um, all of the times that I have failed have been when I walked in and said, we cover 80% and the secondary covers 20%. And by the way, if you want the coinsurance, it's like you already lost them in that
Yeah.
conversation. As soon as you keep things as simple as possible in a way that they're like, okay, she does a house call, she accepts a Medicare patient. If I have somebody with back pain or balance, I can send them to her. That's
Yeah.
easy. That makes sense. As soon as you pull things in that don't make sense or say it to the person that isn't really the one making the decisions, then you may have just you
Yeah.
kind of sidetracked the purpose of the visit.
Sure.
Add in the nuggets along the way.
Good. All right. Number 4, expecting immediate referrals. I think this is the one of the biggest ones that people new in this space suffer from, because when perception and reality don't line up, it leads to disappointment. And two things can be true at the same time. It is a huge accomplishment going in there for the first time, but also don't expect a referral your first time. But be proud of the fact that you went in there and you ripped the Band-Aid off and you got the first words out of your mouth and you had a conversation with someone. But don't expect that then that's all of a sudden the floodgates that open and then they're sending you referrals left and right. You can take it.
Yeah, I can count on less than 2 fingers how many times I've gotten a referral the first time I went into an office, and it's a literal anomaly. And sometimes those are not even the offices that are going to continuously refer to you. It's the ones that you can trust. Takes time. So if they don't trust you, they don't trust you after the first visit. It's going to be really rare that they really understand and they're going to feel wowed and blown away and that they just want to continue to use you, all of their patients, when they potentially have had other service providers in there already that they've been sending their patients to. So it takes time to build trust, and unfortunately by the first visit you don't really get that. What's the challenging part really is that you have to stay on top of the check-ins, and those check-ins and that repeated sum of individual effort over time with low pressure is what is going to make them say, you know what, Kathy's been here 5 times. She really has been on it. She's awesome. Every time she comes in here, she's consistent. And you know what? The last patient we sent down the street, they didn't really do a good job. They didn't really say positive things about going there. Let's give Kathy a try. And it's always the time that when you think you've kind of you haven't been able to accomplish anything yet is when you really get that win and that
Yeah.
moment where you get to shine. So referrals they're a relationship business, and you have to keep showing up. So it's almost 9.9 times out of 10, it's never going to be that first visit. It's going to be the 5th, 6th, 7th,
Yeah.
8th, 9th, 10th, third month in that you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm going to go in there and say. And you walk in and they say, oh, you know what? I finally had a patient for you. And it's that moment when you have the win. So don't give
Yeah.
up early. Be consistent, and don't don't set up expectations for yourself that are unrealistic.
Yes. And I mean, you touched on it, kind of leads into number five, but I mean, the mistakes even I made is forgetting to follow up. And, when I mean, there's follow up in a few different ways. One is just going back into the office before you even had a referral. Secondly, is they finally do send you a referral, and you don't even call them to thank them or stop back in the office and talk about how the patient's doing with you. That is another key opportunity of follow up that we neglect. Like, just because you finally got the referral doesn't mean you stop courting. The referral, the doctor's office, everything like that. That's the beginning of the relationship. I mean, the relationship starts when you go in there, but once they send you a referral, that's the easiest time to then go back in for follow-up and say, hey, I'm seeing so-and-so that you sent over. Thank you. They're doing so well. They said this about this. Don't miss the opportunity to follow up. And then also, three, the best way to kind of track it is by tracking it, keeping a spreadsheet. When did I touch this person? When's the last message I sent? When's the last time I stopped in the office? And then scheduling your follow-ups there, so you have data. If you can't remember the last time you've been in, it's probably too long. And so data always wins because you can measure it, and then you can create set appointment times or intervals.
Yeah, let's just say right off the bat, if you haven't been somewhere in over 3 weeks, it's too long. People, it is so easy in this day and age. Like, we are thrown, like we're in a hyper interactive society where we're seeing hundreds of things, hundreds of emails a day, hundreds of interactions a day, hundreds of everything on social. I mean, it is so cumbersome to deal with so much information, right? So when everything is very information heavy, it's really easy to feel like you were there just a moment ago, but it's been weeks then. So, I mean, really where you kind of miss out on the opportunity is when also maybe you didn't know that someone was interested, and then imagine someone being so interested and then they don't see you for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
they going to trust that you're going to show up again in 2 months, in 3 months? So it's layering that effect. The reminders are really actually what helps you stand out, because everybody is so easily discouraged. It's you are going to stand out by showing up and being consistent with where you are and who you are and how you're presenting yourself. So that's not annoying. That's consistent. There's a difference. Annoying is,
Yeah.
do you have a referral for me today? That's annoying. Not, hey, how are you? I was just thinking about you. I realized I haven't been in 2 weeks. Oh my goodness, I've been seeing so many patients. I've been so busy. But you know what I was just thinking? I haven't gotten to see yours yet. I'm so excited. When's going to be the next chance for me to see your patient? However you want to word it is fine.
Yeah.
But it's different saying it versus asking it. And if you don't follow up, you're not going to get a referral. That's
Yeah.
just the facts of it.
Yeah. I mean, and to kind of summarize, marketing, it's not about being loud. It's about being consistent. It's about
Mhm.
being clear. It's about being genuine, and take all these 5 points that we've kind of discussed and think about each one. And maybe one, have you fallen trapped to one of these? Two, if you're about to go in and do your first office visit, think about it ahead of time. And then three, obviously, the follow-ups. I mean, it's just the biggest thing. Stay organized. That's how you win at marketing, is by keeping track of everything. So, okay, I talked with Susie at this office. We had a really good connection about her kids. If you have all that written down, the next time you go in there, it's much easier to pick up that conversation and then take it to the next level. But if you don't track it, I say it doesn't count. And then if it doesn't count, it means you haven't even started. So, best of luck implementing these 5 things. This is a really good conversation, and we look forward to the next one.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. One contact, one visit at a time. Do not give up on yourself. It is block by block that you build this thing.
Amen. Good. All right. Have a great day, everyone.